Alright guys, welcome back to another video. So in this one we are basically just tackling the overhaul on the TJ. It's just going to be a full little facelift for it. We can go wheeling and that. So basically this is to help anyone that has a TJ Wrangler, being from like 95 to 06 I think they are. So I think everything's going to be the same. So we'll start over here. We've gone with jack handles in the way, won't worry about that. I've gone with 7-inch flares. They're from Jeep Connection. They're a factory look, so I should be able to maintain this factory look of the flare, but in a 7-inch. I did look at different styles and that, but for my taste and what I want to keep that factory look, but just bigger and more practical. So I went with those. We got the EFS 2-inch lift, so 4 coils, 4 shocks. Went with the EFS because we went with the EFS. They weren't the cheapest by any means, but it's just what we found. And then the 31 10.5 15 Kumo MTs. Main reason I went with the Kumos was they're on special. They did the whole buy 3 get 1 free. There seems to be a struggle at present to get American tires. I wanted Mickey Thompson's or Cooper's or something like that, but nowhere seems to be able to get what I wanted. So we end up with those for now. On the Dynamic Classic series, I think they are, the round holes in the polished look. Just being a black car, I want to go with the polished wheel. And being blind, I hate black rims because I can't distinguish the difference between a tire and a rim. Whereas at least with the silver, the polished wheels, I can actually see the rims, and I like that. So they're the 5-on-1 4.3 or 5-on 4.5. Straight from Dynamic. They were an incredible wheel. I really love the look of them. I was hoping they'd do them for our big Jeep too, but they don't. So we're going to be whacking all that in. One important thing to remember before you tackle a suspension job like this is you got to remember you are changing all your suspension components. So make sure you sort of know what you're doing a bit. You don't want to do anything dodgy because you are going to be hooking down the highway. And just remember you are going to be relaxing your suspension to its full capability to drop the coils out. So you're going to need jack stands high enough to support the chassis with the diff at full droop. So I'm running 2 sets of stands, one to chuck under the axle while I undo everything, and 1 set to put under the chassis so that way it can hang fully down, drop the coils and shocks and all that sort of thing. Just those little things to remember before you tackle it and get started and then realise that you can't actually droop your diff far enough and you've got to try and compress your springs, and that just becomes a nightmare. Tools wise, I've just got all my normal tools, so toolbox full of crap, sockets, ring spanners and rattle gun. Like that's basically it, and a good jack. But anyway, without further ado, let's get underway. Alright, so first step, once you've got it jacked up, the stands are under, we'll drop the shocks, and then we'll probably end up dropping the panhard rod because the panhard rod will stop it coming down far. We'll check it first. So we'll drop the shocks out and then we'll lower the diff and see if it's enough for the coils. If not, we'll undo the sway bar links, which are these ones here. We'll just drop that one so that way it can come down even further. We've basically got a nut on the bottom and 2 bolts on the bottom. Like, it's so simple, but we'll get underway. Alright, so as you can see, literally rocking the diff. It'll go down a bit further if you undo like the panhard rod and that, which I may have to get the longer coils in. But that's your coil springs out. Now, you got a cushion pad at the top, but usually there's one at the bottom and there's none on this, so sometimes that can develop a squeak, which is a bit you know, it's grease so that'll fix. Sway bar's disconnected, and then yeah, basically as you can see we need bump stops, but I'll have to add them to the list because I didn't even look at that. But they're usually just cheap as chips for these. But yeah, so other side's out, this side's out. I'll grab a new coil and see if I can get them without undoing the panhard rod. Alright, so as you can just see, I literally dropped this tie rod, basically just so I could get the coil up. And I did have to undo the panhard rod. It's just one bolt on the diff end. But let's see if that'll go up. Like that. Alright. Alright, so you have a locating point at the bottom. If you look at the seat at the bottom of the coil, you'll have a seat for the bottom of it to sit in, and that'll obviously line the top up. But I'll go around and chuck the other side in, and we'll jack it back up and hook everything back up again. Alright, so as you can see, this side's all back together. I just got to finish nipping this up, just need the Allen key to put in the top. But I'll go over and do the other side. The panhard rod, now sometimes the panhard rod bolt won't line up. The easiest way to do that is wait till all your wheels are on, get someone to just slightly move on the steering either way, and you'll be able to lay under there and check which way. As someone moves the steering, it'll move the body on the diff. So you'll be able to line it up that way, whack that in. And that's the front done, guys. But as for procedure, I'm going to do the suspension, and then while the wheels are off, I'll rip the front flares off, put the front flares on, then the wheels on, and then I'll turn it around and we'll do the back one. But I'm not going to bore you guys with all that. I'll smash out the other side and I'll see you when we start the flares. Alright, suspension in the front's all done. I ended up getting the panhard rod hooked up just by rocking the steering even without the wheels on. It sort of corrected enough. So I'll swap the flare over. It's literally a 10mm nut on the back of this corner light and pop the bulb out. That's the light out the way. And then you got a heap of 8mm bolts around the inside, and this flare should come off. So let's see what happens. Alright, so I think that's the last bolt. So like I said, you got a heap of 8mm. Just remember when you're doing them, on the back is just like a little square plastic nut. So if you're sitting there and undoing it and it doesn't feel like it's going anywhere, it's because it's sitting there spinning. I think these back ones are just like a plastic rib nut in the panel, so which I'll see when I get the flare off. You'd think I'd know, I only did one of these a couple of weeks ago, but let's see if it comes off. Did I miss one? No. There we go. Look at that. Good time to look for rust. None there. So yeah, at the back here are just like plastic nutserts. But let's get rid of that and get the new one. Alright, so here's our new ones. Like I said, they are hopefully just like a dead factory look. That way I don't want it looking too modified. Hopefully everything lines up. Well, they did. That does. But we just gain that wheel clearance that we need. So now it's basically put all the bolts back in, and then we'll put this wheel on. Move to the other side, do that one, and then I'll flip around and do the back. But let's put these bolts in. Alright, so I forgot to film the removal of the rear. We've got it on time lapse, so that might help. But basically, same as the front, but this time you got the single bolt in the bush at the bottom of the shock, 2 bolts straight up in the top. And all I had to do was disconnect the sway bar, and it came far enough down to drop the old coils out, put new coils in. New shocks in. Oh, this one's not. So I'll put this one in, tighten up this sway bar, and then start on these flares. These flares are mud flap too, so I don't know what happens there, but we'll see. So I'll chuck this shock in, tighten up the sway bar, and then get into that. Alright. So one thing to remember when you're doing these top bolts back in is make sure you can thread them in a few threads, like quite a few by hand. If not, spray them with WD and run them in and out, because I have seen these cross-threaded in the top, because you have got to sort of start them with your ratchet. So just make sure they are 100% threading in nice and straight before you crank on them. Alright, so that's basically rear suspension done, finished. It's just time now. I'll just cut you guys for a sec and have a bit of a clean up, because I've got everywhere. And then we'll get into the flares. Alright, so one thing I did just notice is the rear has the same little plastic, these little plastic things on the inside of the body. Now what you do have to do is pop the inner guard down so you can get your hand in at the back of them. Sort of a bit of a design flaw, but I suppose it is what it is. At least you can get at them. But I'll keep going. Alright guys, so there we go, all done. So that's a TJ Wrangler, 2-inch lift, 31 10.5, 7-inch flares, neg 19 wheels, and it sits perfect. Like, there's the wheels have got enough tuck that I reckon you could go to 12.5s. So on the neg 19 you could go to a 12.5 tire, like a 33, 12.5 or 31. But that looks mint. So that was about 4 hours. Minus lunch and morning tea,
yeah,
tea break.
Say without the breaks.
We're about 4 hours work, and it's a costly thing, but it's not costly if you know what I mean. Like, tires were what, $12.80?
Yeah.
Flares were like $600. Lift kit was $900.
Yeah, $900.
And the rims were like $1,000. So I think that's everything. That's literally everything it costs to do that. So what's that? I don't know, shit at maths, but you
throw the total down, the total down at the bottom.
Yeah, we'll throw the total at the bottom, and like I said, I'll give a list of where we got everything from and the brands of everything. But yeah, so I think it looks awesome. Turned out really well. So I hope that helps people out there that want to do a TJ lift, just to show you how easy it really is. I think I will do link rod extensions down the track if we do end up wheeling it a lot, because I noticed when I hooked the rear end up, I had to jack it up quite a ways to hook the sway bar back up, so you will lose quite a bit of travel with your sway bar. But that's only if we end up wheeling it. So, but brake lines, everything else is sweet. So I'm going to shut up, turn this off, and we'll take it for a drive. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel, leave any comments below, and we'll see you next time.